One of the things that museums used technology for during the pandemic was to try and reduce risk to staff and volunteers by visitors by creating digital interfaces or technological interfaces in place of human staff, right? So
Hmm.
like the one example that comes to mind is the Ontario Regiment Museum in Canada, which is a World War II museum. Basically deployed a little AI-powered chatbot on a telepresence robot body to check in visitors and ask them basic health questions, but also to give them an orientation to the museum. Well, museums, we know from AAM's COVID surveys, some museums had to do significant layoffs because of the money they lost, and some of them were waiting to hear how they're planning to rebuild. But staffing costs are traditionally, a big chunk, I mean,
Yeah.
generalizing 70% of a lot of museums' budgets. And if they're having to rebuild with a smaller income stream or make up losses now that our pandemic assistance has run out, staff is maybe one of the things they have to look at. Well, so I wonder if more museums are going to start saying, are there staff positions that we could replace with digital or AI powered functions, whether it's automated check-in. I go to a lot of hotels now where there's nobody at the desk to check me in. There's a screen, and frankly, when I'm getting there at 11 at night and I'm pooped, I might rather deal with a machine than a person. Are there going to be, for example, more AI chatbots answering the phone and trying to route you through the basic questions instead of having a person talking to you? And I have talked to directors that are trying to figure out, what are post-pandemic, how are we going to staff? I'm pivoting now to something I think was on the agenda for later anyway that I want to make sure we're going to get to. Are we going to choose to have fewer but better jobs because next time there's a crisis, we want to make sure the people we employ have stable, well-paid jobs with benefits so that they're not as vulnerable? On conversely, are some museums going to say we're going to outsource a bunch of stuff because it's easier to end a contract nimbly than to have to worry about downsizing staff? And I think one element of that is, are more museums going to integrate digital processes in place of staff? There's been a
Hmm.
lot of nice language around AI to try and make people not afraid by, ooh, it's not going to take jobs, it's going to supplement your work. But the fact is, in the industries where they've made a lot of inroads, it does sometimes replace jobs, sometimes even white collar knowledge based jobs. And that
Hmm.
could happen in museums as well.
Hmm.
So downside, maybe fewer museum jobs. Upside, maybe better and well-paid museum jobs for the remaining staff, and more robust ability to maintain those services because you don't have to lay off the II when your payroll gets constrained.